Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Just Open It, the YouTube series in which I open recently acquired toys. My name is Russ. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you're a fan of toy collecting, action figures, or pop culture in general, please subscribe to my channel, Karaoke Fanboy TV. Every week I do open a recently acquired toy or action figure, and today I am opening Winston Zeddemore from this Ghostbusters line of action figures. I believe it was called Fright Features or something like that, and it was released around the time of Ghostbusters Afterlife, if not a few months or within the year prior, to build up some excitement for that inevitable sequel to the classic Ghostbusters movies, Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. So I'm opening Winston today, kind of in the spirit of the upcoming Halloween holiday. And frankly, because he's been on my unopened pile for quite some time, along with his Ghostbusters brethren and the kids from Ghostbusters Afterlife, all in this line. So I may be opening a few of those in the coming weeks just to finally put them on display. But I thought it would be fun to compare this Winston with my absolute original Winston. Now, this is not one of the recently released or re-released Ghostbusters figures from Kenner, where they mimicked everything from the packaging to the figure itself. They just basically re-released the toys that I so fondly remember getting in the 80s. And this is my original Winston. You can tell as a kid, I cut the proton stream off the pack, off the blaster there, just so he could walk around with his with the thrower on the backpack, and it didn't have that stream. I didn't like that as a kid. I wished it was something you could tack on for play rather than this kind of perpetually shooting proton pack. And in fact, I did that with the Star Trek The Next Generation Playmates action figures as well. I cut the beam off of their phaser, so it wasn't this odd perpetually shooting phaser. I just find that feature so strange, and still kind of do, though now it's more fun to have the figures intact, of course, for display purposes. But that just goes to show, you can tell from the discolorization of the plastic, and some of the paint is chipping and stuff. This is an original Winston Zeddemore. And so now I am opening his latest plastic incarnation. And right away, of course, this Winston is a little more Ernie Hudson accurate with the mustache. So this is from the Real Ghostbusters cartoon. We all know that. This is meant to kind of, I would say, caricaturize the actors, because they're not spot-on likenesses like the action figures released by Matty Collector over a decade ago now, I think. But because I've had this figure laying around for some time, the cardboard came practically clean off here. And extracting the figure. No scent whatsoever. Now, I'm not sure which of the characters, I've kind of forgotten. It's been a while since these guys are on the pegs. But I learned after I acquired all 4 figures that at least 2 of them had different Fright feature ghosts. One of them came with a Slimer, and one of them came with a Terror Dog, I believe. So I was disappointed that I didn't find those, and I held out for a while, hoping I would eventually find them, and then I could return the ones that had the more generic ghosts, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I never found them, and I'm just kind of caving in now and resigning that I may never find them. So with that, I'm just opening these guys. Kind of a bizarre, and I had opened the Egon on this channel. It's been a while though, so I don't remember that the pack is like woven into the bubble here, so okay, gotta kind of weave it out. And then you might have seen too that one of the wings from the ghost broke off upon extraction, so I'm gonna hope that this just kind of snaps on easily. Looks like it will, no problem. Okay, so what we have here is, I presume, I don't know if this is meant to be like a Stay Puft guy, one of the little Stay Puft characters. It doesn't quite look like it, and then when you press this button, is this the button on the back that's meant to, and then he kind of exposes a ghostly self here. I don't know if this, oh, okay, here we go. There we go. It's a little, there's a button on the back. Press that, lifts the head. which releases, and then he kind of flashes you his true ghostly self, I guess, even though he doesn't really look normal on the outside to begin with. So a Fright feature for sure, and cool, definitely cool. Obviously no paint deco on this. It's just kind of a monochromatic piece of plastic with some cool sculpting and whatnot, but I don't know. I would have preferred a little Slimer or Terror Dog here, or at least something maybe more evocative of the classics, though they released those. You know, these guys came with little ghosts as well. In fact, I should have grabbed Winston's, but I didn't. So the fact that this has a feature in it is cool, but it just lacks a little bit of that character, I think, that the original little ghosts that the Ghostbusters came with had, the Real Ghostbusters. But that might just be nostalgia talking. I mean, a kid looks at this, and there's a ghoulish face in there, and maybe even these could double as wings or something, so now it flies. And you could totally play that Winston is going to capture that ghost. Speaking of Winston, here he is in all of his glory. Now, they're kind of using Winston, it looks like, as a Nick Fury-style character. He's going to be kind of this through line, I think, from the original generation of Ghostbusters to this new generation, because Winston, it is revealed in Afterlife, spoilers, I'll put that in the description that there are spoilers here for Afterlife, but he is independently, he's wealthy. He's become independently wealthy. So with that, he is able to fund a new generation of Ghostbusters, reopen the firehouse, and so on, opening the opportunity for a sequel. But here he is, Winston. Cool sculpt. Not a lot of action or posability potential with these guys. It's, you know, 5 points of articulation, and I definitely appreciate the old school nature of that, especially at this size or proportion. And that's what the original Ghostbusters had, so, you know, can't be beat in that regard. They are about the same size, though, because this Winston is representative of a cartoon character, his head is a little bit bigger than this one, which is, again, kind of an Ernie Hudson. One of the differences is this Winston has a closed fist, which I think makes him unique among all 4 of the Ghostbusters from this line. I think they all had open hands. Just trying to see if I could look, and I think so. Whereas this Winston, you could put the wand in either hand. But when you're playing, just like the original figures, you know, you're just pointing the wand toward the ghost. There isn't a lot of dynamic, like I said, posability here, multiple points of articulation that we kind of take for granted now in action figures. So this is kind of just a strictly point and play kind of a figure, which I'm not complaining about. It's cool. The proton packs, you know, this one's blue, which helps it pop and definitely makes it a little more cartoony. With this rope, I don't know, mine's lasted this long. I don't know what the durability of this is for some of you guys that might have had this since you were kids, but then this is just one big plastic piece here, so I assume it's a little more shelf-friendly. It'll last potentially longer than this cloth, kind of woven little rope is, but I could be wrong. And my Winston's, it's so dirty and dusty here, but if the camera will focus, his logo is pretty much intact, which is nice. I think on some of my other figures, Ray and Egon, the logo's pretty worn off, and that's the case here too. It looks like there's that potential if he's played with often, but if he's just on display, I think that would remain quite vivid. Cool figure. I mean, it's Ernie Hudson as Winston Zeddemore. Very beloved character, and one that has a second life in Afterlife. So for this Ghostbuster to be the next one I open certainly makes sense, and I'm excited for him to join Egon on the shelf and eventually Ray and Peter as well. Quick, funny Ernie Hudson story here at Phoenix Fan Fusion one year. That's what we call our Comic-Con. I went into the restroom, and of course, Mr. Hudson was one of our many prestigious guests from the realm of geekdom and pop culture. And he was stepping away from a urinal as I was stepping up to one. Literally missing by seconds the joke he must have heard. He must have heard it 1,000 times in his life, "Excuse me, Mr. Hudson, would you like to cross our streams?" Now, again, I didn't get a chance to say it, but the spirit of that joke was in the lavatory that day, and it is a memory that I will always treasure. A golden memory, if you will. So, if you find these at the secondary market at this point, I think, I do recommend them. I think they look cool, and they definitely exist in spirit somewhere between the Real Ghostbusters action figures and those kind of super realistic looking figures that were on the pegs and originally offered through Matty Collectors so many years ago. These are a really nice in-between that could round out your Ghostbusters collection. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Tune in next time when I grab another unopened action figure here in my living room and I say, you know what? Just open it. I'll catch you next time. You want to hit the head or...